Hey, Jen.
Happy Sunday, fam. It's time for coffee chat.
This is hurt. Hey, there we go. Had to extend the pole a little bit.
I'm not even going there today. Not
even 30 seconds in. What are you doing? Hey, everybody. How you doing? Happy Sunday. Do we have a doozy of a topic for you today?
Boy, do we.
There's a lot of topics that have come up over the years that we get
fired up
about. I guess would be the word.
And we cannot not talk about it.
Yeah, we cannot not talk about it. This one, every day, we see something every day for the past week that just makes our heads want to explode. The complete seeming lack of common sense that has just, I don't even know. Honestly, I've got all these notes, guys. I've got notes. I've got notes on notes on notes.
It is exasperating.
I wrote a 12-page article on my blog, ketogenicathlete.com. Go check that out on this topic.
It's amazing.
There have been a ton of videos that people are putting out there. I know Thomas Lauer has a couple of videos. Steven, UK Carnivore, and Richard Smith did. They've done
a couple on their live Q&A.
Yeah, they've talked about it on some of their lives. I don't know if they have a specific video about it, but I haven't seen. And this is the thing that's really bugging me in the back of my head.
Okay.
And you mentioned this a couple days ago. Where are the big names? Why is nobody?
Right.
And maybe it's because nobody has heard, which I don't understand how. I mean, we get people that comment and say, "What are you talking about? I haven't heard about this."
Yeah.
Maybe it just hasn't gotten to the point where, this is the kind of thing that I would absolutely expect Dr. Barry, Sean Baker, Dr. Chafee for sure to talk about. Dr. Kiltz, I could see him talking about it. Dr. Hampton, Dr. Vadia, there's all of these people that are out there that have huge followings that we're like, how come none of them
Cybus.
Dr. Cybus, absolutely. How come nobody's
We should just, y'all tag them in this.
Yes, forward this to them, send this to them and say, hey, if you guys haven't heard about this, you need to talk about it because there is, if you guys don't know about it, because we've had a couple people, let's just start with that. What is this? Why is it something we're talking about?
What is the top? We haven't even told them what the topic is.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, it's on the thumbnail. So we're talking about the sugar diet.
Yeah, but I'm on Instagram and some people didn't.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so we're talking about the sugar diet. It's a thing right now. Without getting too much into it, I think you heard about it first. Yep. Well, honestly, here's the thing. This has actually been boiling up. There's a little history here. This has been boiling up over the past several months because if you recall, 6 months ago, there was the oatmeal fast.
No, I don't.
You don't remember about that? There was this oatmeal fast that people were trying. All of the exact same arguments for why that's helping and why that's supposedly going to decrease insulin resistance, improve insulin sensitivity, and help you lose weight. And it should be used as a tool to help people on their journey. That I don't even remember where that came from. I just remember seeing that there were people that were trying it in the space and things like that.
But you know, that was,
and then it's
clearly
kind of
that was small because I didn't, it didn't pop up.
Right.
Okay, so what happened with this one is Mark Bell.
Well, that's where I was going to go. That's where I was going to go. That's where I was going. So that kind of started this. There started maybe opening the door. People looking at carbs could be beneficial. Yeah. Sugar could be beneficial to health. So in the past few weeks, Mark Bell, if you guys aren't familiar with Mark Smelly Bell, power lifter, big name. I don't even remember where he got started, how he got big. He wrote a book.
I think it was powerlifting. And then he wrote a book, The War on Carbs, which is clearly over for him.
Yeah. Became a carnivore, meat animal-based advocate. He's partnered with Keto Brick with his carnivore protein that has all the beef protein and organ meat and all this other stuff.
So I've
and literally just this week came out with a female-based,
oh my gosh,
beef-based protein.
So, I mean, clearly he's still benefiting financially from carnivore while he's talking about the wonders of sugar.
Guys.
And somebody, who was it that was talking about him having like these stars in his eyes? He's like
one of your clients, like he's in love with this diet.
Guys,
right here's a quote. Here's a quote. And this is why we are having this conversation. Because somebody like Mark Bell, who has hundreds of thousands of followers on YouTube, Instagram, etc., is literally out here saying things like this. He's got a video. Where's that title? He's got a video titled "The Fastest and Best Weight Loss Protocol for Fat People." And in that video, he says, and I quote, "There is no better diet in the history of history on this planet or anywhere else than the sugar diet for fat people."
This is the reason. Okay, so I started seeing it everywhere, and I know you were starting to see it, and I was pushing him like, you need to do something about this. You specifically need to write about it, speak about it, because, and he was like, do I have to go there? And I was like, yes, you do. And I'm so glad he took that ball and ran with it. He was like, okay, you planted the seed, and now I'm starting to see it everywhere, and I can't keep my mouth shut. And I was like, thank God, because somebody has to say something. And then Dr. Sarah Zaldivar posted something about it the other day, and I messaged her and was like, thank God for you for saying. Anytime I see somebody in our space speak up about it.
Keto Greg has been talking about it.
Yep,
Thank you, Keto Greg.
And he and Rob Sykes, Keto Savage, they do this podcast now, like a behind the scenes keto brick, like the two of them talking about life and updates and things. And so Rob did speak about it.
Oh,
Greg brought it up, and Rob did speak about it. And this is what I think is going on, and why we're not seeing Sean Baker, especially Sean Baker, because I saw something you mentioned to me the other day that about Cole Robinson's
page
from 2 weeks ago, though.
Oh, that was 2 weeks ago. So this was before. Okay.
Literally, all of this has happened in like the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
So on that video, Sean Baker was basically saying, I and a colleague interviewed Cole years ago with the snake diet thing once, and he was like, the short answer was, I don't give a F about Cole Robinson. I don't give a F about anybody talking shit about me, basically.
Right, I got to
because Cole Robinson recently started talking crap about Sean Baker and talking about his blood sugar and how that was totally off base. By the way.
That was a whole
and that's
nother,
what Steven, UK Carnivore, was talking about. He made very specific mentions to what Cole was saying about Dr. Baker, but that gave me insights into, look, Sean Baker's not going to talk about it unless it becomes a major, major concern. And that's why I think
to me, it's a major concern.
Now,
I think
it wasn't, though.
It wasn't at the time. But literally, Mark Bell, he's putting a video out like every day.
And this is why.
And they're an hour and a half long about why the sugar diet is so amazing and what he's doing on it and how it's supposedly helping.
That's the concern.
All bullshit.
But when it was just Cole Robinson, like, I never heard of him.
Nobody cares about him.
I never heard of him.
No one cares
I remember the name, the snake diet, from a million years ago, but his content, I don't see any of his content. I don't know who he is. And so that's why I think Sean Baker wasn't taking any of it seriously, at least then. When
small fry.
People were asking about like him, or mentioning it to him. And I saw, Kelly Hogan, right? Somebody asked Kelly Hogan, I think it was on one of her lives or in her community. And you posted her comment response. And it's like, because these people at this level are like, like, this is stupid, whatever, why would I give it any of my attention?
Right. And that's the danger, because there's the difference between the people, like Sean Baker's not coaching people.
Right.
He's not in the groups seeing the questions that people are asking. He doesn't see that. Now, Dr. Barry may, and we're not in his ecosystem, so we
somebody
don't
made
know.
a comment I want to read. She said, about Dr. Berry. When semaglutide came out, I saw the risk from reading the side effects and tagged Dr. Berry on Twitter. He never talked about it until very much later. Maybe they are taking their time to study the side effects.
Maybe. Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think these things, but who you're seeing talking about it, like Thomas DeLauer, for example,
Right.
what they are all about is content, and they're all about whatever is hot right now, whatever's trending, and they have teams that are putting together their content and getting their attention on things, right? So,
and even his stuff.
Dr. Berry's that way too, to an extent.
But he does a lot of his own research and looking at stuff, so I can see why it would take him a little bit of time to kind of go through things.
So you're going to see the people who are more like jumping on trends immediately, talking about it more readily.
And here's how you know the difference. The people that are following the trends aren't going to give you any definitive information. Thomas DeLauer's videos are very much walking the line. He's not going to say it's bad, don't do it. He's not going to say, well, maybe, like, he's gonna try to not ruffle feathers so that he gets more views.
And
literally,
to this
like
point,
that's
the people who have talked about it that I've
We're not
seen
gonna do that.
are good friends of Mark Bell.
Correct.
Like Thomas DeLauer, Mark. Dang, I just blanked on his last name. Lobliner from Tiger Fitness in the bodybuilding space. Like,
but he came out and said,
he did.
Don't do this. He's like, don't do this. This is ridiculous. He straight up was like, look, I've tried a lot of different diets. Yeah.
I'm usually the first to say, don't knock it until you try it. I draw the line here. I'm not trying it.
Yeah.
Mark's my buddy, but no, he's lost the plot. Like, and I appreciated that.
I very much so. Very much so.
Thomas DeLauer did speak to the concerns of it.
He at least identified the risks, some of the risks.
Which I would have expected from Mark Bell. This is what's concerning me.
Right.
And the reason why I was pushing Bronson and the reason why I'm talking about it. And I brought up Sarah Zaldivar because we just filmed a video yesterday that should be coming out, I think today, probably on her YouTube. Because what we are seeing is the concern that, hey, Mark Bell is somebody who usually speaks very intelligently to things and speaks in a way, unlike Cole Robinson, that is not purely controversial. It's not all about attention seeking. He will use the clickbait titles and all of that, but usually he speaks intelligently and he gives you this like
broad, because he a lot of what he does is his experience with something, and then here's what I got out of it, here's what I didn't like with it. Like it's usually very evenly balanced on what
and it started out that way. His first few videos were like, do your own research, this is what I'm doing, and now it is hard. Like he's dangerous, y'all. Something's going on there. Completely irresponsible of him, of anybody with a following like that. And to the point of, do you not understand who's following you? And
that's a whole nother.
Because you've been talking about carnivore and meat, and you created a whole
community and whole company,
of products. And to the Bronson's point, he just came out with Carnivora, women's
beef-based
protein, and his company is putting out these emails. I'm on the email list of what Mark Bell eats in a day, and it surely ain't the sugar diet. It's what he was eating in a day before.
Yeah.
While he's out there spewing the benefits of sugar and completely has gone from one extreme to another. And what Bronson just shared and a post yesterday, it's getting worse and worse and worse, y'all. Every single post is getting worse. Yesterday, I saw why you should be using canned fruit on this diet because it has high fructose corn syrup and it's a yummy and the greatest way to do this diet. And sugar sodas and candy without fat. And so there were people saying at the beginning, including Mark Bell, saying this should be a whole foods diet. You should be using real fruit. And now he's talking about high fructose corn syrup and sugar soda and candy, and this being the best way to implement it. And the only thing I can think of besides the sensationalism of social media and going for the clicks and the views is he has now, his brain has been eaten by sugar. His brain cells have been killed by sugar, and he has now completely lost his mind.
Right? And this is our opinion. We're not making any claims. This is just...
I can't understand.
It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Where this is coming from.
All right, so that's enough of a precursor and kind of a background. Our frustration, what we're seeing, where this is coming from, what is being told, what he's saying. Let's explain what the sugar diet is and kind of... God, this is so...
And I also want to put this seed out there for those of you who have been interested in this because of what you've seen. You're
this is the part that some of you...
about it.
Yes.
The clients of mine who have asked me about this diet seriously and been interested in it have clinically diagnosed eating disorders, and they are aware of that. And so I want you to know that if this is piquing your interest, you need to be seriously considering what's going on in your mind. And this is part of what Sarah Zaldivar and I spoke about yesterday on our video, is you may not be aware, but it is a disordered eating, disordered thinking, sugar addiction, mindset and mentality that's driving this desire.
Yeah.
You need to be cognizant of that, and you need to dig into what is intriguing me about this and why am I interested in it.
Yeah.
Anytime you're interested in some new trend that's promising fast weight loss, extreme weight loss, because that's the promises and the claims that this is promising, there is something behind that you need to be concerned about. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the core of what you're saying, guys, is that this is only attractive to people who are trying to lose weight at any cost. If you still are in the mindset that weight loss is the goal, this is something that you are going to fall for. This is a trap. This is not real. This is not sustainable, and it is not going to improve your health.
And it is not beneficial even in the short term.
Even in the short term. You may feel weight loss.
I'm just going to do it for a week or two. I'm just going to do it until I hit my goal weight.
And that's the trap. I've had people try to argue with me in groups that, well, I'm not going to do this as a lifestyle. I'm just going to do it short term to lose fat. Literally, what was that post I showed you, the comment I showed you the other day? This is not for improving health. This is just for weight loss. Acknowledging that they're not worried about their health. They just want to lose weight.
Yes.
What the actual F?
And there's other ways you can go about it that won't wreck your health in the meantime.
In the same, okay.
Okay.
So that's the thing you need to understand.
So the gist of, let's tell them the promises of this diet.
What is it claiming? What is it first? So what the sugar diet is, for anybody wondering, okay? Eating mostly fruit and some vegetables, no more than 30 grams of fat per day. Let that one sink in.
To the extent of some are doing 15 grams of fat.
Half a gram of protein per pound of lean body mass per day.
So the minimum
not even body
to
weight.
Keep you alive.
Not even body weight, not even goal weight.
Yep.
Lean mass. So if you weigh 200 pounds and you have 100 pounds of lean mass, you're doing 50 grams of fat a day.
Insanity.
Okay? Even for me, I have about 165 pounds of lean mass. So I'm looking at 80, 85
for me,
grams
it would
of protein.
be 47
that's
grams
ridiculous.
of protein in a day.
Follow the diet every day or a few days at a time. No need to track anything. Eat when hungry.
And because all you're eating is sugar, that could be all day long.
Yeah, you're going to be eating 8, 9, 10, 12 times a day.
Whenever you want, as much as you want.
And you're going to get full in 5 minutes, and then 20 minutes later, you're going to be hungry again.
So just shove your face in more fruit.
So that is the sugar diet, in case anybody's wondering. Promises of the sugar diet.
Anybody remember? And then you're going to be told too, it's not a diet. Now they're saying it's not a diet, it's a fast.
It's a fast. That's the argument. It's just a short-term tool to help me lose weight. That's
I don't care what you call it. Shoving your face with sugar all day in any form, even if it's only fruit, which it's not. They're not encouraging it to be only fruit.
Yeah.
But even if it was, it's who remembers fruit juice fasts from the 90s?
Fruit juice fast.
And I did only sugar diets because it was this cleanse, the sugar, they didn't call it that. They're calling it that for sensationalism, but it was the juice cleanses of the past.
Yep.
Horrible.
Okay. What are the claims? You were saying, what are the claims?
Yes. What are they claiming this is going to do for you?
Before I get into the specific things of what they're saying that the sugar diet will do, let's talk about, I got 5 things on why we should be doing it. Like, what are the reasons, right? Because apparently protein can mess with your insulin sensitivity, so you need to keep it low. Right? So the whole idea that protein turns to chocolate cake when you eat it, and the insulin reaction from protein is what's really causing your insulin resistance, and it's not the carbs. I don't even know where to start with this. Here's the thing though, the 5 things that I have, all of these things are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old claims that have been proven wrong.
Why are we acting like this is some new?
Right, it's 2025. We know these things aren't real. Why are we even having this conversation?
I love this comment. Fit and Fab Celeb. It's even worse than the standard bodybuilder's diet.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
This reason.
Yeah.
For this reason, because at least in the standard bodybuilder's diet, it's high protein. At least.
But
it does have a lot of these other things.
Right.
The bodybuilder diet would make these same claims, other than the protein.
So that's one.
Yep.
You ready? The second one is fat makes you fat.
Never heard that before.
Eating fat is where all your fat is coming from. Guys, we've had the conversation. We understand the nuance of overconsumption of fat is going to make you gain body fat. We know that. But we're not talking about the general intake that you need to sustain good health.
Yes.
Right? Fat versus carbs. Carbs are always going to cause more fat gain than fat at a basic general level. We know that the reason we have 70% obesity in America isn't because of our fat intake. Our fat intake has dropped significantly over the past 50 years, but our obesity has gone up. It's not effing fat.
Along with type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, all of the metabolic syndrome diseases.
Yes. All right. There's a major assumption in this conversation as well that really irks me. And that is anyone who claims, again, the influencing, anyone who has the influence that he has. Now, we know this is honestly not an influencer problem. This is a societal problem.
Yeah.
And that is the continued push, the continued promotion that skinny equals health. That weight loss is the goal, that when you're lean, you're healthy. And you hear this in this conversation because
and it's not even lean.
It's skinny. It's weight loss. It's a number on a scale.
Yep.
That's the goal. And you see this in this conversation because every influencer, everybody you see talking about the sugar fast, the sugar diet, and every time they reference a client or someone who's contacted them about the success they've had on the diet, it's always, I lost 20 pounds, I lost 15 pounds, I lost 10 pounds, I lost whatever it is. What they're not talking about, because they're not even checking, they don't even have a recognition or understanding that
body composition,
blood lipids, body composition, inflammation, gut health, brain health, all of these other things matter more. There's no recognition of that. The goal in the context of the world and society and what they think is important is the scale.
Is weight.
And that is the fucking problem.
That is the problem. Ooh, he said it.
I'm going to be prepared because it's happening a lot today. This thing pisses me off.
This topic would do it. I know. And if you see any of them who've been doing this for 2 weeks and they claim that they have good blood work.
Oh my God.
Anybody who's ever had blood work done knows you get your blood draw. It's going to take you a week to get the data back. And so,
and it's going to take a couple weeks for your body to adapt to the change anyway. So even if
you're doing,
right, you don't get your blood drawn until 4 weeks
if
after.
you've been doing this diet for a week or two and you're saying I have good blood work, when did you get the blood work? How long were you on the diet?
Yeah.
So tell me after you've done it longer.
Yeah, do it for 90 days and then let's see what your blood work is.
Because whatever your blood work was when you started the diet was from whatever you were doing the few months leading up to that diet.
Yeah. Here's another reason I've heard, which another claim on why we should be doing this is because restriction is hard. Restriction is not sustainable.
So
it's such a bad thing. But I'm going to restrict protein and fat and just eat sugar. What the F is the difference?
I love that one because it's
so illogical. It's so irrational.
Irrational.
It's delusional.
It is. This isn't restriction. If all I'm doing is eating sugar, that's not restricting. You're restricting everything but sugar.
Right.
But that kind of restriction apparently is okay.
It's the same with the vegan argument, right? The carnivore diet is too extreme, just eat plants.
I love that. I love that. Keto's too restrictive. Carnivore's too restricted. So now only eat fruit and put sugar on your fruit and you can't eat anything else. But that's not restrictive at all.
Guys, we can't make this stuff up. All right, and then the last thing is the reason this is a good diet is because sugar is your body's preferred fuel source.
I hate that one so much.
Again.
They're misunderstanding.
Do we not do?
They're misunderstanding.
Have we never had these conversations before? What the hell?
Oxidative priority is not the same thing as preference.
Priority and preference are not the same thing. If I fill up a balloon with crap, what's going to come out when I squeeze the balloon? Right?
Explain real quick.
Come on, guys.
Let's explain real quick what oxidative priority is. Oxidative priority. So what your body is going to oxidate first, if it's present, does not mean that that's your body's preferred fuel source. If
perfume.
If alcohol is present, your body's going to burn it first before sugar. Does that mean that alcohol is the preferred fuel source for the body?
Yes.
No, it's because the body sees it as a poison and it wants to get it out. Sugar is after that. So then you have carbs. Why does the body want to burn up sugar and use it first and get rid of it? Because it's damaging.
I just watched, this is so timely too. So if you guys aren't aware, I'm a metabolic health practitioner, and part of that accreditation is obviously continuing education. And I was watching a presentation by Dr. Gary Fettke, who was giving a presentation on carbohydrates. The dose is the poison. And in there, he was talking about how do we determine when something is toxic?
Oh, this was so good.
What are the things that we look at when something is toxic? And I got a couple of notes here. He said there's two main factors. Number one to think about is it's dose dependent. And the line of toxicity starts when we exceed the amount that our body needs to survive. Okay? So when we talk about carbs, when we talk about sugar, let's just break that down really quick. So, and then there's the third aspect is, does it cause harm if we exceed that threshold? Three things. Dose dependent, how much do we need, and if we get more, does it cause harm? Okay? When it comes to sugar, glucose, we're looking at about 4 grams. You have about 4 grams of a teaspoon of sugar, glucose, in your bloodstream at any given time. That's what your body does everything it possibly can to keep that level where it is. If it goes above,
that's why
what happens? Insulin starts trying to get it out. It starts putting it into muscle. It starts trying to get rid of it, use it up, whatever. That's where the oxidative priority comes in. That's what made me think of this, right? So because there's not a lot of storage, you can't store blood sugar. You can't store sugar as much, right? You have some in your muscles, but you can only fill that up so much.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if it gets too low, your body does what? Oh, I need to break something down to create more and put it back in the blood. Your body tries to manage the homeostatic balance of blood sugar as well as it possibly can. When you shove 100 grams of sugar in your face, right? Which is what? 20 times the amount that you need, 25 times the amount that you need in one time, at one point in time. What does that do to your body? Is that excess? Yes, check. We've checked that box. Does it cause harm? Check that box. Glycation, insulin spikes, which we'll talk about, the up and down of your insulin, the up and down of your blood sugar. Okay? Gut issues. There's a whole bunch of things which we'll get into. I'm going to get into it now, but when we say sugar is toxic, we're not being hyperbolic, guys. Literally, when you shove 100 grams of sugar in your face, you are creating a toxic environment in your body by the definition of how we look at toxicity. Okay? It's not about burning things off. And this is another argument for why this is okay. Well, you're just going to burn it off. It doesn't matter. You're still in a deficit, so your overall calorie intake, fuck calories, doesn't matter as long as you burn it all off. Okay, let's talk about burning it off. What does burning sugar mean? Burning sugar is a layman, easy way to understand what we call glucose metabolism. The process that our body goes through to break carbohydrates down or sugar down into the components that our body can use or can't use and has to get rid of or store or do something with, i.e., breaking it down because our body has to do something with it. The process of breaking it down is where the problem is. Our body has to react to everything that we put in our mouth. The reaction and the impact of that effort is the problem when it comes to sugar. The hormone reaction, the enzymatic reaction, the chemical reaction, the biological impact of what we eat is where the dangers of sugar come from. That is where the toxicity happens. Okay? So it's not some inert thing that you put in, it burns away, and then you're good. It doesn't work that way. All right? There's impact. Okay. I hope that makes sense, guys.
This is why I say even on the short term.
Even on the short term, it's not good.
No, this is not a good idea for a reset or a fast, which, by the way, y'all, if you're eating anything, it's not a fast. Let's just
Oh my God, stop putting fast on everything that you're putting in your mouth. I had to get that out.
It's another hot button topic around here. Stop calling it an egg fast, a sardine fast, a sugar fast, whatever you want to call it. It's not a freaking fast if you're eating.
Wow, I wanted to yell louder.
Yeah,
I wanted to yell louder than that.
I was in there.
I wanted to go.
So do you feel good getting that?
No, because I want to go outside on the balcony right now and just scream.
I love it. Dustin just said, you mean fasting bars aren't real? That, oh my God,
yes.
When I saw those on the shelves, I was like, are you
fasting bars?
kidding me? Oh my God.
Okay, clown world.
That's why when these people say, oh, it's not a diet, it's a fast. No, it's a diet. Yes. Call it a diet. Call it the sardine diet. Call it the egg diet. Because that's what you're doing. All you're putting in your body is that thing.
Yes.
Let's stop freaking calling it a fast.
Yes. 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 And it is more restrictive. And by definition, you are not getting things that your body needs. It's not nutrition.
No.
Okay? It is always what's what I'm looking for. Targeted at a specific mechanism that's supposed to help you lose weight faster. And it will always keep you stuck in a cycle of losing weight because you never fix the problem. In fact, it makes you worse off in the long run because now you are cycling through stimulus that your body has to react to and it gets off track. Right? You are literally on a go-kart track instead of on a raceway. Right? You're not going forward on your journey. You're running around a circle, going up and down and going through the tunnels. Woo-hoo-hoo, look at this. Oh, turn off over here. Like If you want to do that, great, have a blast. Jump from from diet to diet, jump from program to program, jump from short-term hack to short-term hack. And then 5 years from now, when you haven't gotten anywhere, realize that that was the choice you made. Because you never stopped to actually understand how to
the impact on your
fix
health.
the problem and stop chasing the number on a scale. Okay? All right.
What were we just watching the other day, your talk at Antithetics, where you're talking about mopping up the floor?
Yes.
Like if you have a leak in your sink, it's not the water on the floor, and you keep trying to mop up the water without fixing the leak.
Yeah. This is another bucket. The sugar diet, the sugar fast is another mop or bucket or sponge that people are throwing out there thinking it's going to solve their problem. And they've got a leaky faucet that is continually leaky and it's always going to be there. And they're spending their time on the floor instead of fixing the faucet.
And I don't know if we're going to get into the mental side of this today, but
no, probably not.
That,
be here forever
to me, is probably the biggest reason why anyone in the low carb, keto, carnivore space absolutely should not even think about playing with this, because it is playing to your disordered eating, disordered thinking around food. And if you ever want to heal your relationship with food, shoving a bunch of sugar in your face all day long is not the way to do that.
No.
And I'm the first one to always talk about individual nuances, and that our goal is not to live in a straitjacket and padded walls and protect ourselves against everything forever. So I'm not the person who says you can never ever again eat a carb because you're going to be an addict for the rest of your life. I do believe that you can change from being an abstainer to a moderator, but it ain't going to happen by chasing trends like this.
No.
That is going to keep your addiction alive. And that's the part of you that's attracted to this. And they know that, and they're playing on that. Okay, so don't be fooled by it.
Well, that leads into the first thing.
Okay, let's go.
So there are claims. So I watched, guys, do you know how painful it was to sit through the videos and watching these things? I watched 1.5 videos and had to turn it off.
I wanted to. I was going to say pull your hair out.
I watched 1.5 of these videos, about an hour and a half of videos of Cole Robinson and Mark Bell talking about this. And Mark Bell.
Oh my God.
I wanted to. It's a good thing I'm already bald.
I'm surprised you didn't use your buddy.
I did. Well, that's what happened. So this is what happened. So then I said, I can't listen to this bullshit anymore.
Hey, AI, you listen.
So I basically pulled all the transcripts from all the videos I could find. I shoved them into ChatGPT and I said, hey, Chat, could you please summarize all the high points for me?
Because you can't.
I just couldn't listen to it. So there are 6 things. And it's interesting how consistent. I did 4 different videos from Mark Bell, Cole Robinson, even pulled some information from Durian Ryder.
Oh, God.
Consistently how these 6 things were all across. They were the 6 same themes, okay? It helps I'll read them all first and then we'll approach each one.
Okay.
The sugar diet helps people binge less. It increases weight loss. It works best on fat people because you're a fatty, apparently, according to Cole Robinson. It maintains muscle mass. It helps balance hormones. And it provides clean, constant energy.
Oh, clean. So
and constant.
Clean.
And constant.
It will be constant, that's for sure.
Okay, so let's talk about that. It helps people binge less.
Oh my God.
I'll let you, because you just literally just said it, right? How in the world is having to eat 8-10 times a day with something that is giving you a dopamine hit every time you eat it, not giving you any actual nutrition or satiation, going to help you binge less? You were literally creating a binge pattern through the whole process.
That's what the entire thing is.
It's creating a binge problem.
Don't count or weigh or track anything. Just
eat when you feel like it.
Whenever you feel like it, as much as you want.
No self-control, no impact other than pleasure. It's all pleasure. It's
how satiating sugar is.
Oh, not at all.
So you're just going to eat all day long it literally is creating binge patterns where there may not have been any in the first place.
Yep.
And for those who were binge eaters, that were managing their binge eating through a low carb diet or a carnivore diet, good luck. You're going to have the biggest relapse of your life.
Where would you be a couple years ago
God.
if you had tried this, like right before? Because you had your last, like right before we met, right?
My last what?
Your last relapse.
Yeah. I would be fatter than I've ever been in my life.
You wouldn't have made any of the shows. Like, I mean, there's a whole other.
There's no way. I would have been deeper in my disorder.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have been scary. I can't even imagine. I can't imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't even know what else to say about, like, the diet creates binge patterns.
This is
so
enabling.
It cannot help people binge less. It just doesn't work that way, guys.
Oh, that's horrible.
It increases weight loss. Okay. Somehow, and we'll talk about. Did I talk about that? No, that's a whole nother one. Well, so I'm going to combine these two. So there's two pieces here, and I think they go together. I broke them up in my blog, but I'll combine them here. It increases weight loss, and it works best on fat people.
You know what? First off, let me just say this. Any diet works best on fat people.
Temporarily.
Seriously, though.
Well, if you stop eating, you're going to lose weight.
Right? It's going to be harder for me at 120 pounds, 20% body fat, to lose weight on the scale than it would be for a person who's 240 pounds and 40% body fat.
Yep.
Any diet that puts you in a energy deficit is going to, and I'm not.
I would even say not even energy. Any diet that is lacking nutrition of any value is going to make you lose weight.
Is going to make you lose weight
because your body's going to fall apart.
Better when you're fat. Better when you have more weight to lose. If you have more weight to start with, it's going to be easier to lose it.
Right.
What a surprise.
And this is the trap that we get into when we talk about context of looking at Mark Bell, who probably runs around at sub 10% body fat, saying that it's working on me, but it will work better if you're 400 pounds.
Duh.
No shit, Sherlock. You don't have any weight to lose. You don't have any body fat to lose. Right? You're just trying to get lean, and you're on PEDs.
Yes.
Right? So the context of what he's talking about, anybody that is metabolically unhealthy, overweight, on medications, and trying to improve their quality of life should take anything that Mark Bell, honestly, anything that Mark Bell has to say and just throw it in the trash because it doesn't apply to you.
And
the context, he's speaking from his experience. He is nowhere near where you are, and it doesn't fucking apply. And turn him off. Unsubscribe.
You know what? Ask yourself this, as it relates to Mark Bell or anyone else. How did they lose their fat?
How did they get where they are?
In the first place.
Correct.
He didn't do it on this sugar diet. So for him to use a low-carb, keto, carnivore diet to get the results that took him from 300 plus pounds down to less than 10% body fat. And then now that he's gotten there, now that he's in a place of metabolic health, in a place of...
now that he's got good body composition. I don't think he's got good metabolic health.
Well,
he's on PEDs.
He won't be when he's done with this.
Well, but even just the fact that he's on PEDs is a whole nother conversation. So I would say just body composition wise, I would argue very strongly that he is not metabolically healthy. But to your point, he hasn't gotten where he's gotten.
He wouldn't be doing well on this diet if he wasn't metabolically healthy to begin with. So
he's got a lot of muscle.
I will say most people who are doing something and they are where you want to be, ask yourself, did they do this to get there?
We did.
And he's always spoken to what he's doing. He's never spoken as an expert on the things that he's doing.
I'm glad you said that because there is another aspect to this. Nobody that I've seen that actually has any education, training, certification, clinical practice in metabolic restoration, okay, and that's different than weight loss, is saying this is a good idea. Every single influencer that I've seen that's saying, this is fantastic, this is the best thing ever, is an influencer.
Who's just doing it.
They have never actually learned anything about how the body actually functions.
And I'll tell you why they're doing it.
It's all experiential. It worked for them, so they're saying it should work for you.
Well, and they're saying all these things in defense of what they're doing. That's what it is. It's, you know what it is? This entire thing. I want to eat sugar. I'm going to tell you all the reasons why this is a good idea for me to do because I want to eat sugar. That's where this is coming from.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
That's basically what it is. Yeah.
My sugar addiction is running the show. And now I'm making all these excuses and justifications for why I'm doing it.
It's the same reason why Saladino stopped doing carnivore.
Yeah. Right? What are we?
Right.
Well, this is new once again?
Right. Like, it's all the same things. You need guys,
at least he's still eating meat, though.
Right. At least, absolutely. At least he's still eating meat. And he's still eating mostly meat. It's not like he totally went off the board, right?
Right.
Okay. So it works best on fat people. Number one, yes, it will help you lose weight because you're not eating anything. You're not getting any nutrition. There's no nutritional value in sugar.
And I guarantee you will lose muscle on this diet.
Absolutely. That's
100%.
That's next. The reason they're saying, this is one of the traps of looking at mechanisms. You guys have heard us talk ad nauseum about principles and concepts over protocols and mechanisms, right? The mechanism that they're supposedly leveraging by increasing all of this sugar is something called FGF21.
And this is why I wanted him to talk about it. Because I'm
not going to get super into it.
But read the blog.
FGF, I put a link in there. It's fibroblast growth factor 21, okay? And it's supposed to, in their words, rev up your metabolism and help you burn fat faster. Okay? I want you to think about this for a second. Two things to know. What is the rationale behind overconsumption of sugar to the point that your body has to store it as fat while engaging a mechanism that is supposed to help you burn fat? Right? I'm going to eat sugar to the point where I can't possibly burn it all off. Air quotes.
Which is another thing you need to consider when you're looking at people like Mark Bell.
Right. He's working out.
He's literally doing these videos while he's out doing cardio.
Yeah.
How much cardio do you want to do, by the way? Because I'll tell you what, one of the main reasons I went keto for bodybuilding in the first place.
To not have to do 3 hours of cardio a day.
2 or 3 hours of cardio a day,
right.
Like all the other female bikini competitors were doing.
Right.
Eating a shit ton of carbs and then a shit ton of cardio. What's the point when I can just cut the carbs and I can do no cardio or 15 minutes? It's right. Ridiculous.
So the idea that you can eat a ton of sugar and then activate fat loss because you're eating sugar, it's the stupidest effing thing. Second part of that, FGF21, okay, is a substance that is activated when you're keto. It is also activated when you're obese. Like it's always around. It's always there. It's something that isn't turned on or turned off. And here's the problem when they say it works best in fat people. If you are obese, you actually become FGF21 resistant. Okay.
That sound familiar?
That sound familiar?
Kind of like
so
insulin
you can
resistance.
Activate FGF21 all you want, but your body doesn't respond to it. So it's not actually
better
revving up your metabolism. It's not actually increasing body fat loss. Okay? And because of the insulin response of sugar in general, you are stimulating body fat storage, accumulation. So that claim is completely unbased.
And let's go back to our binge eaters for a moment, right? Because the people who are having success on this diet, they're only talking about weight loss.
Right.
So the people who are having weight loss success on this diet, they're not they're still not over consuming.
They're not only not getting nutrition, but they're barely eating much of anything at all. Right?
If you're a binge eater and you try this, that's not going to be you. You're still going to overconsume. And you're going to put on body fat. And yes, you're going to put on more weight.
Yes, because you're going to lose muscle mass. No protein, high sugar intake.
Very, very low protein.
Creates an environment where you cannot build muscle.
And for the fasting version of this, there's no protein at all.
Right.
They want you to go days of just doing this with no protein.
Just fruit.
And then you can have one protein meal of like 3 to 4 ounces of meat.
Yeah.
In a day.
So you're getting barely any protein. You're supposed to somehow, I think I even heard, if I remember correctly, he even said like, don't work out as much.
Or just do cardio.
Right? So you're not doing, they're recommending not doing resistance training, barely eat any protein, and then consume a ton of sugar, which is going to keep your muscles full of glycogen so your body won't break down protein for sugar.
Yeah, you know what that means?
Guys, the inaccuracies in that statement.
It's going to eat up your actual muscle tissue.
Oh my God.
And just fill them up with water so they still look like you still have muscle, but it's just water in there.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the other systemic societal problem that we have with that statement. The whole idea that the only purpose of protein in the body is energy.
What?
Okay? Think about this. The argument of why this is not going to lose muscle, why you're not going to lose muscle on the sugar diet is because literally the claim that muscle is preserved because eating sugar keeps the muscles full of glycogen. So it won't need to break down muscle tissue or proteins in order to provide energy to the body.
But glycogen in the muscle cells is not the same thing as
exactly
protein.
Number one, and it has nothing to do with protein metabolism. The body uses protein for all sorts of things. Building muscle, hormone management, tissues of your body. Like there's a whole bunch of things that amino acids and protein are used for. Just because you're eating sugar doesn't mean all of the other needs that your body has for protein
amino acids
stop.
Just go out the window. What about your thyroid?
Exactly, that's right. Thyroid hormones, there's a whole bunch of other things that need to be maintained. And if you're not eating protein, it's got to break the protein down from somewhere to get the things it needs to maintain.
Yep.
So glycogen storage has absolutely nothing to do with muscle preservation. I literally, my brain broke when I read that. It makes absolutely no sense.
That's insane.
And then there's the insulin thing. So real quick on the insulin side of things.
Before we do that, I want to mention this. If a person is doing this diet and they say they're maintaining their muscle mass because they're testing it with their bioelectrical impedance scale and it's showing that they still have the same amount of muscle mass. First of all, it's measuring lean mass, not muscle.
Yeah.
And so when it's measuring lean mass, it's telling you based on exactly what they're saying, this whole glycogen in the muscle cell, that when you're eating carbs, it's water in the muscle cells that make it appear on these bioelectrical impedance scales, which are not sophisticated enough to determine the tissue versus the water in your muscles. So you might think you're maintaining your tissue, but you're not. You've just filled it up with water.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So one of the other arguments on the maintain muscle mass thing is this idea that insulin is a super anabolic hormone and that it improves your anabolic processes in muscle protein synthesis. If you also go to my blog, because I wrote about this 2 times, we've actually learned, and the data suggests, or shows, I wouldn't even say suggests, demonstrates that insulin is only anabolic in the presence of excess amino acids. Insulin in and of itself does not stimulate muscle protein synthesis.
It was never about the sugar.
It was never about the insulin, it's about the protein.
Yeah.
So if you're not getting a lot of protein or enough protein, it doesn't matter how much you stimulate insulin, you're not growing muscle.
And protein by itself can stimulate insulin, and
Exactly.
you're getting the protein.
Exactly.
So there you go.
Bingo, bango. Okay. It helps balance hormones.
It's going to F your hormones
Say it.
up.
It's going to fuck your shit up. Long story short, we don't want balanced hormones. Okay, this is a whole nother, we should probably do a talk on this.
We should. Okay, next week we can get into hormones.
This is a concept I really, really, really want you guys to understand. You don't want a balanced hormone profile. You want a balanced biological profile because your hormones react appropriately.
Ooh, I love that.
The hormones don't stay balanced. The hormones react to keep your system balanced. That's how this works. We want adequately reactive hormones. That's the key we're looking for.
Why are they saying it's going to balance your hormones? What is the claim? Is it about
I'm trying to... I
cortisol?
Is it
about...
Yes. I put my response. I didn't put the reason
truth.
why. Yeah.
You put the
I
truth.
put the truth. I didn't put why.
I
forget exactly why they're saying it helps balance hormones. But just a
bet
couple
you-
hormones,
I
it's
bet
not
you-
balancing.
I bet you I know what it is.
What is it?
They're going to say keto and low carb and carnivore diets
Like your
thyroid.
thyroid. Yeah, thyroid.
And they're going to say that it, what's the other thing? Oh, it stresses you out.
Cortisol and
Because
thyroid.
your cortisol, you know what stresses you out? Massive, extreme changes to your diet, period.
Lack of
If you
nutrition.
go from standard American diet to keto overnight, yes, you're going to get a cortisol response. If you go from keto to sugar only, yes, you're going to get a cortisol response. It is a short term, hey, something's wrong here. That's what the cortisol is doing, and that's a good thing. You want it to signal you that you're doing something crazy, but when you teach your body something new over time, like when you adapt to keto, when you adapt to carnivore, that cortisol is no longer elevated. But what happens every single time you spike your blood sugar?
Oh, we're going to get into that. That's a whole nother, guys, we're an hour in. We still got a ways to go, just so you know. If you're watching this video, you're in for the long haul. 'Cause there's some stuff to talk about.
I might need to take a potty break at some point.
Yeah, that's
We're almost
fine.
done with the coffee. But I mean, you put it in here about the stress to your system and the inflammation, right? Like it's going to screw up. It's going to create more of a chronic stress response in your body.
Good.
Go ahead. Which is the problem with cortisol.
Right. So just to name 2 areas where you're going to see hormone imbalances. 3. One is thyroid doing this. You're going to see because you're not getting any protein. Right? You're not
low protein.
Amino acids are the base for thyroid hormones. So if you're not getting protein, you're going to have thyroid issues.
And the reason why, well, there's mechanisms at play in terms of why T3 readings go down on keto low carb diets, and generally it's understood by those who actually understand it that you don't need as much thyroid output when your carbs are low. So it's not a pathological thing. It's not a clinical thing. Most of the time, people on a low carb diet do not have clinical symptoms of hypothyroid. They're being told that it's downregulating your thyroid and this is a bad thing simply because of the lab numbers.
Right. It's like A1C. Your A1C on a carnivore may go from a 5.4, 5.5 as the goal, the standard. But if guys, I've been at a 5.7, 5.8 for 5 years. I don't give a shit. No. I'm fine.
Well, also because you're not getting the spikes. I'm not getting,
which we'll talk about because I learned something recently, guys, that just, I love it. I love it. Continuing education is so cool.
It is.
It really is cool. So thyroid is one. Your satiety hormones are another. Your ghrelin, and if you're worried about leptin resistance, do this diet. If you want to get leptin resistance, do this diet.
Oh my gosh, seriously.
Right? Talk about screwing up your signals. What are we doing, guys? And then the third one is the insulin cortisol back and forth, up and down and up and down. It's just, Every time you eat, your insulin is going to spike, and then you get a crash, and then your blood sugar goes down, and you think, and this is something we see, but my blood sugar's been so low. Yeah, when you check it because you just got a massive insulin spike, and now you're hypoglycemic.
How are people not making this connection?
Yeah.
Because of the cognitive dissonance. I want to believe that this is good for me.
Right.
Because I want to eat my sugar. And then the big one, what do we need to support our sex hormones more than anything else that has been a problem for 3 decades, particularly with women, that screwed us up in the 80s and 90s? Low freaking fat.
Fatty fat, cholesterol.
So we finally got
saturated fat.
We finally got some women to stop fearing fat, thank God. And some of them were healing their hormones with actually eating enough fat to sustain themselves.
Yeah.
Essential fatty acids. And now we're telling them, don't eat any fat, because that's the key to this diet. Stop eating all fat. And let's fix your hormones.
We've gone back.
We're going to fix your hormones by giving you nothing but sugar and taking away all the fat. What twilight zone are we in?
All right, and then the last one.
You're right, we've gone backwards.
Yeah, the last claim. We've been at like 40 minutes just on the claims. The last claim is that it provides constant clean energy. So, 2 things with that. Explain to me how, if you have to eat 8 times a day, it's constant. My understanding of the word constant would mean I don't have to eat as much and still have energy available.
Constantly
you're constantly having to eat. And then we'll talk about this, but clean? Is that really the word that we want to use for eating sugar? Right? It's like the dirtiest thing.
Everything they said, the opposite is true.
It's literally the dirtiest thing that your body can process besides alcohol.
I get it. This diet is opposite day.
Oh, is that what it is? We're still in April Fools?
Everything is opposite day.
Yeah. Just no. No, on so many levels. It is not clean. It is not constant. It is not good for you. Okay, so those are the claims and why they aren't actually a thing. And I want to highlight something real quick too. We are very passionate about how dangerous and how just wrong this diet is. It's still your choice.
Yeah,
okay?
Right.
No matter what we say, if this
head.
is something that you decide that you want to try after watching this video, which hopefully we think it's not, so hopefully we convince you not to try it. But if you decide to do it, do it. Have a blast. That's totally your call. No judgment on our end. All we want to do is give you our point of view as people who understand the biology more than the people who are promoting it.
BS.
And people who have seen the results of clients and others who have tried these types of things and how it set them back. And we want to try to hopefully use our experience and knowledge to help you avoid the setback. That's it. Still your choice. Okay, no judgment. If you decide to do it and it messes you up and you want to come and say, hey, I need help, that's why we're here. Okay, no judgment. This isn't a declaration of value or opinion of any individual person who decides they want to do this. If that's what you want to do, fantastic. We're not talking down. We're not accusing. We're not trying to make anybody feel bad. We're just trying to lay things out there so that you have all of the information to make as informed a decision as possible, because the people who are saying you should do this aren't.
Let me tell you too, I just did a masterclass. It's the very last post before this one on my Instagram, and it's on my YouTube, called Resistance. How to recognize it and respond to it. If you are wanting to do this diet, understand that it is going to be very difficult for you to listen to what we're saying, because everything in you is just wanting an excuse to eat this stuff and to go back to your addiction. Go watch that Resistance Masterclass. Understand that you are going to have all of this resistance from your emotional limbic brain, and it's going to be very difficult for you to listen to the prefrontal cortex, the reasoning, the rational brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then once my chat with Sarah
Yeah, that'll be
goes
good.
up,
That'll be
listen to
good.
that one too.
I was in the
'Cause
other
she
room
talks a lot
listening.
about,
You got
a lot
Hazy
about the
right there.
brain. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so there's one aspect, another aspect, before we get into the what will go wrong. I have three main things that we'll talk about on what can go wrong with this in the short term and the long term.
I'm going to let you get started.
All right, while she goes, take your mic, make sure you're here.
Oh.
We don't want to hear you
No,
go
you
to the
don't.
bathroom while you're. That would get some views.
Oh gosh.
There's a baseline of understanding that we need to get to before we talk about the risks, okay? In general, when we evaluate things that we're looking to do for our nutrition and our health, okay? If you get my book, Body Confident, guys, it came out last year. There's a whole section in there where I talk about the three main tenets of good nutrition. How do we define good nutrition? And the reason I wrote that book and the reason specifically I define good nutrition in this way is because it gives you a step-by-step guide, an evaluation framework that you can look at any options that you have, any new diet, any new program, methodology, concept, whatever it is around nutrition. And you can evaluate, does this make sense at a fundamental level? Okay, 3 questions to ask. That's all it is. The first question, is this diet nutrient dense? Am I getting the macro and micro and mineral nutrition that I actually need? Number 1. Number 2, is the nutrition that's in the food bioavailable? Is it something that my body can actually utilize once I eat it? And then number 3, does it naturally support the hormones that help me manage my intake? Is it satiating? Do I feel good and full for periods of time where I don't have to go and eat 8 freaking times a day in order to maintain my energy and my function? Okay, so those are the 3 questions. It's all detailed in the book. Go to Amazon, Body Confident, and there's the same. I do the same thing for nutrition I do that for nutrition. I do the same thing for mindset, and I do the same thing for fitness. Each one of those areas has 3 questions to ask to help you understand if you're making good choices for those aspects of your life. All right. So let's ask ourselves: does the sugar diet meet the criteria of good nutrition? Is it nutrient dense? Is it bioavailable? Does it trigger and manage satiety well? I think we all know the answer to that. Okay, so when you're making that evaluation, think about those 3 things. All right, let's talk about what can go wrong. I've got 3 big, hold on, let me go through my notes here. I got 3 big risks, okay? There are 3 major things that I see are probably the biggest, outside of the stuff we talked about, the biggest metabolic problems, okay? What we've talked about is just general claims of what the diet does and how we explain, how we walk you through. That's not actually what happens. These are things that do happen if you do this diet. These are things that I can pretty much promise you're going to see issues with.
You're going to deal with.
Okay, I can't guarantee anything. I don't know your body. Maybe you react differently, but yeah. But based on the things that we see of the impact that sugar has on the body, these are 3 things that you need to be aware of as big risks, specific risks, okay? They are glycemic variability, and I'll explain each one of these. Fructose, because most of what you're eating supposedly is fruit. And then lipids. All right. Let's talk about glycemic variability. Everybody knows what HbA1c is, right? Your average blood glucose over a 3-month period. Okay? What people don't know is that there's something called glycemic variability. And
that's
you can
never
have
heard that used.
Yeah, you can have a great A1C and still be
yes.
And so you can have a great A1C. Let's say I'm a 5.5. Fantastic. It's awesome. It's great. But if that band or range of the average is really high and really low and really high and really low, even though the average is 5.5, I am still at a higher risk potentially than someone who may be at a 6.0.
Depending on what's
I would
happening
rather
in the
be a
short term,
6.0
day-to-day.
with a lower glycemic variability and less swings up and down. I don't want to be hypoglycemic and then hyperglycemic, hypoglycemic, then hyperglycemic, then hypo, then hyper, then hypo, then hyper. I want to be in a steady range all the way across, even if it's a 6.0. I would rather be at a 6.0 with low GV than a 5.4 with a high GV. Okay, and that's the problem. When you're eating a bolus of sugar 8 times a day, what the hell do you think is going to happen with your insulin and blood glucose? Why do we see, guys, and I put this in the blog, there's a bunch of links that I put in here. There are several studies that show that glycemic variability is more of a negative impact on health than high A1C. Think about that. The swings, we talk about balance, we talk about maintaining homeostatic balance, and the more you change, it's like fasting and diets. The more you change your diet, you all right? You got a wedgie?
I'm sitting on the...
You're sitting on a button?
Button.
You sure that's a button? Where's your hand, Bronson? Oh, it's over here. The swings is the challenge. The swings is the problem.
Yes,
okay?
Because that's what's creating stress in the body.
That's the stress. Your body has to respond. So whenever the response is drastic, that's where the inflammation, that's where the stress comes from. So glycemic variability increases your risk of cardiovascular disease, increases your risk of inflammatory conditions, autoimmune, hypertension, all these different things that we see a problem with a lot of it is the swings, not the general high. Okay. So that's one thing. We won't get into, we've already been on here for over an hour. I don't want to get too much into it. Again, go to my blog, guys, Ketogenic. I got graphs and all sorts of kind of cool stuff on there. KetogenicAthlete.com. So that's one thing, glycemic variability. You want to talk about this one?
Go for it.
I hope everybody in this space is aware that fructose is not the same as other sugar molecules, right? One of the additional claims, and this is something I've seen people talking about why the fruit fast or the fruit juice diet or all these other things are beneficial is because of fructose. Fructose bypasses the insulin response. Fructose doesn't do this, doesn't do that. It goes straight to the liver. Yeah, that's not a fucking good thing. Okay, if you want to increase your risk of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, then eat a lot of fruit. Go for it, have a blast. Your liver has to process fructose directly. It doesn't go through the same metabolic systems that other sugars, glucose, sucrose, galactose, all those other ones go to. Okay, so when you eat a lot of fruit, you literally put fat on your liver. Literally, you're creating a fatty liver problem. Okay, it's just as if you were eating alcohol. Your liver can't process it, so it turns it into fat. Okay, that is not a good thing. So sure, you may lose a lot of weight, but now I've got fatty liver disease. Which one's better?
Oh, well, they just want to be skinny. So
they just want to be skinny.
That's all that matters.
Right? Oh, boy. I got a note in here about, I forgot I did oxidative stress too. So there's 4 things, not 3 things. The whole oxidative stress issue, guys, it has been shown over and over and over again that carbohydrate intake increases oxidative stress and inflammation. I don't even know how many times we have to have this conversation. It is not good for the body's ability to grow, repair, be healthy, and function properly. Every time you eat carbs, your body has to do things it wouldn't normally do in order to process those carbs. Remember, it's not fuel because your body has to respond more than just burning it for energy. Here's a great example. how your body has to do extra work when you're eating carbs. Where do you think, and this is a little sidetrack, but I've been wanting to say this because I haven't talked about this in a long time, like years I haven't talked about this.
Really?
Okay? Yeah. Scurvy is a great example of the stress and extra work that your body has to do when you eat carbs. Because the reason we don't get scurvy when we cut out carbs is because meat, and when we replace it with meat, red meat particularly, is because meat has the components of what our body needs to make collagen. Scurvy is basically the lack of our body's ability to produce collagen and our body falls apart. Okay, that's what scurvy is. When we eat meat, we get those things from the meat. Okay, hydroxy, the name of the protein is completely leaving my head. But there's a protein in meat. It's a hydroxylized protein that our body uses to make collagen. When we don't eat enough meat and we eat mostly carbs.
Hydroxyproline?
Yes, thank you. Ha! Hydroxyproline. When we don't eat enough meat and we eat mostly carbs, our body has to combine proline that's not hydroxylized with vitamin C in order to turn it into hydroxyproline to make collagen. So the reason that we need vitamin C to prevent scurvy on the standard American diet is because we're not getting the raw form of what we need from meat. It's extra processing. We have to add something else in that we wouldn't normally need to add, and we have to take extra steps to make it work. That is the example. That is a great, I love that example because we don't need to worry about that. That's why we don't need as much vitamin C. It's not because there's a little vitamin C in meat. It's because we don't need it. It has nothing to do with the process that
yet
actually
another
required.
example, like the thyroid changes, and like these things haven't been studied over time to be proven to the haters yet.
Right. Yes.
But this is the understanding.
And then the last risk that we have is triglycerides. I love, if you guys don't follow UK Carnivore, go follow him on YouTube. Him and Richard Smith did a video a couple days ago, maybe last week, I forget when it was, where they talk about this. And he was talking about a client that he has who was doing a 90% sugar diet. Oh, yes. And her triglycerides were in, what did he say, like the 300s?
Yeah.
And her HDL was under 50, I think, or something like that. Like,
terrible.
Guys, that's horrendous. Horrendous. If you want to completely screw up your lipid profile, do this diet. Do this diet. It's I don't even understand how anybody is saying this is a good idea.
Oh, but they're going to say it's good because their total cholesterol went down and their LDL went down. Like the Oreos, like the Oreo diet.
And then lastly, this is a bonus, fifth one.
Okay.
Gut issues.
Oh, gosh.
Guys.
Oh, my gosh. That's another thing that Sarah and I talked about. Good luck getting rid of Candida, SIBO, any kind of gut dysbiosis when you're feeding it what it thrives on.
Great way to give yourself leaky gut. Great way to completely destroy your gut microbiota. Like, if you think you have problems now, do this diet. Your gut is going to be so messed up. And remember, your gut, people call it the second brain.
Yep.
If you think you have anxiety issues, depression issues, brain fog, any of those types of things, do this diet. You will, guys, I can't even.
Mental health.
Here's another thing
through the roof.
Here's another a paper I was looking at the other day, and also listening to Gary Fettke and some of the stuff he was talking about. The impact, Dr. Kiltz, if you're watching, you're going to love what I'm about to say. The glycocalyx, the impact of the glycocalyx from one serving of sugar over the amount that your body needs can be impacted for up to 2 to 5 days. It could take days for your glycocalyx. Your glycocalyx is the lining of your blood vessels that allows nutrient transfer from the blood vessels into the body. It's damaged when we eat sugar. It can take up to days for one excess meal for that to recover and be able to function properly. So thinking about the impact of what we're doing and what we're eating, guys, it is massive. So I'm just doing it short term to lose some weight. You are fucking yourself up in that short term.
It will be so much. This is another thing we didn't even mention, but this whole yo-yo dieting thing. Every time you do an extreme weight loss hack or trend, you are going to make it more difficult for your body to ever lose fat again. It is going to fight you back so much harder because of the loss of muscle, the reduction of your metabolism. It's doing exactly the opposite of everything they promise it's going to do. Because when you lose that lean mass, your metabolism, your metabolic rate is going to slow down. It is not going to work better. You're not revving up your metabolism. You're actually killing it. And you're changing your body composition in the wrong direction, which is going to make it even more difficult for you to lose body fat in the future.
I think we got it all out.
I think so too.
I'm looking at comments real quick just to see if anybody asked any questions.
Had a lot of good chat today. Thanks for the comments.
Yes, thanks for everybody joining. Here's we're going to ask as we end that are on. Please share this video.
Why did yours just say?
It just popped in and out, but it's so long. Please share this video. Please. I don't know of anybody that's breaking it down like this. Please share this as much as possible. Get people to sit through the whole hour and almost hour and a half.
Dustin just said he did like a 3.5 hour live on this.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So Keto Simple.
Yes.
Check him out.
Andrea said she just got my book. Thank you, Andrea. That's awesome.
Let's see what else we got on Instagram.
Let's see. Glycated brain cells. We didn't even talk about glycation.
Yeah, we did.
Did we talk about it?
But at the beginning.
I talked about, So if you guys don't know what glycation is, what is that? What is the effect called? The Maillard effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, if you guys aren't familiar with the Maillard effect, basically, if you take meat and you put it on the stove and it gets burnt on the outside, that's the Maillard effect. That is glycation. That is essentially when you eat sugar, that's what happens to your tissue and your cells. You are essentially burning your cells. Okay? Let's not do that.
Good way to age faster. We didn't mention
very
that,
much
but
so.
that
And increase your risk of cancer.
Ages, advanced glycation end products.
Oh my God, canned fruit. What is this? Nutrition by Victoria? Have you seen her? Have you seen that account?
I think I saw Bart
Bart just did something with her. Yeah. I would love, guys.
Yeah, also.
Tag Bart.
Tag
Bart in this, please. He needs to get on this, and
I was shocked he hasn't had a video.
I can't imagine him not going on this.
But I did see Jonathan, Carnivore Bodybuilding. Wait, what was his channel again? He was on here.
Carnivore Consultant.
Carnivore Consultant. He did one the other day. I just saw that pop up on my feed yesterday.
Oh, did he? Okay.
And he tagged Bart there.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is. Carnivore Muscle.
Yeah, Carnivore Muscle.
Critically analyzed the sugar
diet. They rated my channel. That's awesome.
They probably, good. Get the algorithm up.
Fasting bars aren't real. Love the connection between eating disorders and the attraction to this diet. That was brilliant.
That's what it is, y'all. That's why you're attracted to the sardine fast. That's why you're attracted to all these things. It's all about extreme measures.
Crickets. This is how your body uses nutrients to feed itself while eating only glucose. Wow. I can't believe I'm hearing this. Family-sized bags of Sour Patch Kids aren't going to help me. No, they're not. Mark literally held up a bag of jelly beans saying that this is his meal. Oh my God. Isn't it crazy? Here's the other thing that fascinates me. A week ago, when we first started watching this, every video was, this is a whole foods-based diet. And within 7 days, he's eating bags of jelly beans.
And he's encouraging high fructose corn syrup. It's getting more and more inflammatory. And I guarantee it's all for sensationalism, the algorithm, trying to drive views and clicks. That's what this is, y'all. Don't be fooled by somebody who is trolling for views and clicks. It's sad where this has gone.
Executives at Hershey, Post, and General Mills are high-fiving and shopping for yachts.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're all going to now come out with sugar diet products.
Oh my God.
They're original products.
They're already out there. It's called Snickers and good and
They're going to have new labels that say sugar fast with our candy. 0 fat. We're going to go back to the 70s, y'all. In the 80s and the 90s.
All right, that's 2 Crazy Ketos is on.
How many of you lived on 100-calorie Little Debbie's snacks in the 90s?
2 Crazy Ketos. I don't know if that's Joe or Rachel, but hi.
Hi, are you going to do a video?
You guys need to do a video on this too.
Sugar
Please
diet.
Do it.
Please.
Do it.
We need all the voices. Let's rise up.
All right, guys.
Make the idiocracy stop.
Yes, the idiocracy.
Stop the madness.
Stop the madness. Susan Powder. Stop the insanity.
Stop the insanity.
Stop the insanity.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. This has probably been one of our longest videos, but we really felt like we needed to get it out.
Oh my gosh.
This is going to save me from having to do my own video.
Yeah, there you go.
I was going to do my own, but I don't need to now.
He's got the blog post. For those who really love the science aspect and need that to help you from diving into these insane, crazy things, read his blog post. CoachBronson.com.
KetogenicAthlete.com. Either or. And
what did you call it? Why you shouldn't do this diet? Don't do this diet. Something like that. You really shouldn't do this diet.
Yeah. And guys, just remember, I found this picture. I know we've all seen it. Okay.
I never saw it before.
You've never seen it. This has been going around for like ever.
Good.
Okay. Sugar in your blood is called diabetes. Sugar in your brain is called dementia. Sugar in your liver is called fatty liver. Sugar in your teeth is called cavities. Sugar on your skin is called aging. That's glycation. Sugar in your cells is called oxidative stress. But this is the diet that people want you to have to lose weight, because losing weight is more important than your health.
Else.
It's sad. All right, guys. See you next week. Thanks for joining.